This is the Louie Tee Network.
In the lab room.
10 minutes or less. Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. 10 minutes or less. Dallas Cowboys. Cue up the clock. Boop. Here we go. So, season rewind for the Dallas Cowboys. This is a team that every year you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for them to turn the corner. Jason Garrett has been their head coach now for 4 seasons, and you're thinking, all right, this is the year he's finally going to get it together, because if he doesn't, he's going to be fired. So you're thinking Redhead Jesus is going to do something this year. Tony Romo, big deal. He's comfortable now. It's his team. He's supposed to be able to go out and perform at a high level. New defensive coordinator in Monty Kiffin. He's supposed to come in, simplify this defense. No more complex schemes. Just go out, play football, and stop teams from putting up an inordinate amount of points and yards up, and really give us a chance to win every single week. And you look at this Cowboys team, they come out of the gate, beat the Giants, and you're thinking, maybe they're up to something. And they lose the next week. And this was the theme of the season for the Cowboys. They could never put together any kind of winning streak of substance. They win one, they lose one, they win one, they lose one, they win 2, then they lose 2, and they win 1, and they lose 1. You play like that, and you find yourself at 5-5 at the bye. So you come off the bye, and they were at 500 at the bye, and you look at this Cowboys team, and at that bye week, I looked at them and I said, you know what this Cowboys team is? A 500 team. And I said that before the season had started. And I said, this is a 500 Cowboys team. Not really one of their more impressive rosters. And so they come off the bye and they win 2 straight. And you're thinking, well, hold on a minute. This NFC East has been the NFC least for most of the season. Why can't the Cowboys go out and seize this division? You know why they can't go out and seize this division? Because they go and lay an egg on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears without Jay Cutler. Because the very next week after that, they lose to the Green Bay Packers in a game that they dominated thoroughly for 3 quarters in heartbreaking Cowboys fashion. Dropped 2 straight after coming off the bye, winning 2 straight. And then they beat the Redskins, but they lose Tony Romo in the process and find themselves in a win, and you're in winner-take-all NFC East showdown like they always do at the end of the season. They're at home, but it's no Romo, and they don't win against the Eagles. They finish up the season at, you guessed it, 500, 8-8 for the Dallas Cowboys. Missed the postseason once again. So now you fast forward back to the 2014 offseason, and you look at this Cowboys team, and they are in salary cap hell. I mean, they have been handcuffed, and they have been put in prison, and the key to their cell has been thrown away, and I don't know when it's going to be located. And the reason why they are at such dire straits is because of one Jerry Jones. Good old Jerry. And this Cowboys team will never win as long as Jerry Jones is handling the books, as long as he's picking the players and handing out the contracts. This team is going to be hamstrung like this. These Cowboys right now sit at about $24 million over the cap. Not under the cap, over the cap. So looking at this Cowboys team, they're going to make some moves. They're going to get under the cap. They'll be fine, but you don't have a lot of wiggle room, okay? So what you got to do is you got to call Miles Austin into the room and say, all right, Miles, deuces, peace, see you later. And then you got to call Tony in and you got to say, hey, man, I don't want any of your money back per se. I just need to move some of it around. Is that cool? Tony's got to be on board. And you got to call DeMarcus Ware into the office and say, hey, I need some of that money back. And I'm not talking about moving it around. I'm talking about I need some of it back. I need you to take a pay cut. Then you got to go and bring some other guys into the room and say, hey, need some of that money back, or I need you to reallocate some of this money into some bonuses and into later years in the contract. I need to restructure a couple of deals. Then you need to look over to Miles Austin and say, Miles, why are you still here? Get out of here. You're done. Get out of here. You're gone. Bye. And so, Doug Free, hey, you, come here. I need you to restructure your deal. So it's got to be a lot of that going on. And then you look around, and this Cowboys team needs help. So first, you got to clean up your books, and you've got to do it in a way that allows you to have a little bit of breathing space, because you need to upgrade this roster. I mean, it's not like you have a roster chock full of talent. I mean, this team was banged up last year, okay? I mean, they were one of the most banged up teams in the National Football League. They had injuries left and right. For them to even be 8-8, I think it's a testament to this coaching staff, because if you saw what they had on defense, they were bad defensively last year. One of the worst teams in the league defensively. But there was a reason behind that. Everybody got hurt. There was no Anthony Spencer all season long. Sean Lee, arguably their best defender, he gets banged up. Just when you think Bruce Carter is about to do something, he gets injured. That defensive line was depleted. It was Jason Hatcher and then the rest of those guys. DeMarcus Ware had his worst season of his career. He was dealing with injuries the whole season. Nick Hayden was starting for you at defensive tackle, among other guys. You had to get a journeyman at defensive end to bail you out on the other side. And so it was just bad defensively. So you need help defensively. Let's look at these free agents. Let's look at the list of free agents for the Dallas Cowboys. So you look at this list: John Kitna, Brian Waters, Ryan Cook, Anthony Spencer, Jarius Wynn, Jason Hatcher, Edgar Jones, Ernie Sims, Danny McCray, and you got a couple of restricted free agents in running back Philip Tanner and punter Chris Jones. So you look at this list, and for me, I feel like you got to be smart here in free agency, because again, you don't have any money. There's no wiggle room for you to be reckless. Jerry is a reckless guy. He likes to take risks. Sometimes they don't pay off. He needs to be more shrewd. He needs to be more calculated here. He can't just throw money at guys. Let's start with Jason Hatcher, okay? Let's start there. You can't just say, hey, Jason, you got us double-digit sacks last year. You were the only guy holding up this defensive line. I want you back, and I don't care how much it's going to cost us. That's what Jerry has done in the past. When he's wanted Doug Free, he threw stupid money at Doug Free. When he wanted to retain the services of Miles Austin, he threw stupid money at Miles Austin. You can't do that this time. Jason Hatcher is like 32 years old. So he's still got good football left in him, but you have to be smart in the deal that you offer him. And Jason Hatcher has made no bones about it. He's mixed no words. He said, hey, I'm looking to get paid. He knows how old he is. He knows he's not getting another big contract. So he's looking to maximize the deal that he receives. And if that doesn't fit into your budget, then you got to let Jason Hatcher walk. Now, if you're the Cowboys, you want this guy back desperately. But at what cost? You got to really think about how much money you can really give Jason Hatcher. Because I look at it like this. You've got a lot of guys that you haven't paid yet. You got a lot of guys that are going to be looking for deals next year. Dez Bryant is going to be looking for a deal. DeMarco Murray is going to be looking for a deal. You've got a lot of guys that have contracts coming up. And so you can't spend a lot of money on guys like Jason Hatcher. You got to be really economically sound in what you do with your money from here on out when you're $24 million over the cap. So you'd love to have him back, but I don't know if you'll be able to do that. You look at another guy that you want back, guard Brian Waters. He's up there in age. You had to convince him to come out of retirement to play for you. But I think he's an upgrade over what you have at guard, especially Mackenzie Bernardo. I don't like him at all. I don't like Mackenzie Bernardo. I just don't. And so if you got to try to convince him once again to come out of retirement and to rehab the injury so that he can play again for you, do what you got to do. But I like Brian Waters. I think he can still play, and I think he's an upgrade over what you have at the guard position. You really need to get younger at that position anyhow. What better way than to have Brian Waters come back and kind of mentor a young guard if you were to draft one? I think that's the direction you want to go in there. So if you can get Brian Waters back, cool. If not, okay, you just keep it moving. But I think that's a guy you would love to have back. You look at another guy that you want back on this list, Anthony Spencer. I mean, it's strange because he's always injured. You don't really know what you're getting out of him. But just when he was starting to blossom, he's injured. And so you can't franchise this guy, though. I mean, you can't do it again. You just gotta make something happen, either long term or just let him go. One or the other. You gotta pick. You can't keep divulging all this money to a guy that's not playing. So you need to figure out what you're going to do with Anthony Spencer. You would love to have him back. You didn't get pressure on the quarterback last year, but again, you can't overpay for guys any longer. You have to be smart in these deals that you are signing guys to. So to me, that's that. You go to team needs in Dallas, and I look at this team and I feel like one of the biggest needs right now is defense. And so D-line, defensive end, you need help at both areas. You also need help at safety. And I think you could use help at guard as well. I just talked about that briefly. But as far as defensive end, there are some guys out there that can help you in free agency. You might have to pay for them. So again, I think you just need to be smart in what you're doing, and I think you need to make a lot of your moves through the draft because you just don't have a lot of money to spend in free agency. But you need defensive tackle help, draft. Defensive end help, draft. Safety is one of those areas I think you can actually go into free agency and get you a veteran and get you some help there. And guard, draft. You don't have any money, so free agency really isn't in play for you. You need to really do a lot of your damage through the draft. And so that's going to do it for the Dallas Cowboys. That was the Dallas Cowboys in 10 minutes or less.
10 minutes or less. Like the content? Want more? Sub up.
In the lab